And this always makes me a little bit sad. But in 1948, the country was in great confusion. 1945, the war is over, and they thought Japan moved away, and things are, looking clear, but it was not. Like in 1945, immediately the North Korea and South Korea is divided into half at 38 parallel lines from 1945, and then North Korea was by US, the Soviet Union, USSR, and then the Southern Korea was controlled by USA, the America. So it's the beginning of the Cold War, right after 1945. So things are not managed the way the Korean people wanted. So this is, Ikwede was living in Daegu, the southern part of Korea, like somewhere here in Daegu. And this is a beggar that he encountered on the street. He has torn clothes, he carries his bags, right, to bag of food. He has some health problems. So it was really sad. But during the Japanese period, Ikwede also had to comply with the Joseon art exhibition, again, what colonial government wanted. So he painted a lot of these women, like a giseng. So in a way, exotic women in Korean dresses, in entertainment. So these kind of works were well received and often received some award. So Lee Jung-sub, if you search for Lee Jung-sub in popular culture, there are a lot of fictional dramas and movies based on his life. And he is, again, he died 56 out of hunger. And then Ikwede was taken to North Korea, and he died in 65. And then I told you that Lee In-sung that was dead by 1950. So people have such a short lifespan, right after the independence. But anyhow, Lee Jung-sub was from North Korean region, and he was a high school art teacher, which was a respectful job in the colonial period. And then he got married to a Japanese woman. So that's also the beginning of his tragedy. Like he got married for love, so that he chose multi cultural marriage, right? Like he's Korean, she's a Japanese. So it was very difficult immediately after independence, because Japanese people were persecuted, right? You can imagine, they are no longer colonizers and they have to move back to the Japan. So Lee Jung-sub could not move to Japan. And then North Korea, as I mentioned, in 1945, that Soviet Union came in. So people like Lee Jung-sub, who studied in Japan, who paints European style painting, were looked very suspicious or carefully watched. And anyhow, so when the Korean War broke out in 1950, they quickly left North Korea, right? Looking for coming down to the south, and then they settled in Jeju Island, but they were so hungry and didn't have enough money. So wife went to Japan with the 2 boys, but Lee Jung-sub could not go because he's not Japanese national. So he stayed in Jeju Island, and eventually he died. So he was a talented painter. For example, he's known for painter of bull, meaning this ferocious bull. So he has white bull or he has red bull, and often people consider that the bulls are symbols of Korean people's fighting spirit. They withstood it. They are not a tiger, they are not aggressively attacking, but they are bulls, so that they withstood all the difficulties. They withstood all the persecutions. So he, just like Gu Bo-neung, he was interested in that expressionism. So brush strokes and the lines are very robust and improvised. He has other bulls paintings. So he was known for the bull, but his life as an artist from 1945 until he died at 56, it was so difficult. Like we have a lot of letters saying, you know, between Lee Jung-sub and his wife, so they missed each other so much. But Lee Jung-sub himself didn't have enough to eat or buy art supplies. So this work. This is a couple, like birds are, you know, trying to chirp and kiss together, or this kind of a family, happy family, this work. He didn't have a proper art supply, so these were painted on the back of tobacco wrapping paper. And then he often used just a fountain pen ink. He didn't have supplies or, you know, any stable place to live. So eventually he died, and these are scratched on top of that silver foil of tobacco paper. So these are works from that Jeju years. So he died, but his paintings are now how much? $100,000, over $100,000. It didn't reach $1 million yet, but it sold 200,000 or 300,000. But what's the point, you know, of missing family and, you know, not having family members? Now we have Park Soo-gun. Park Soo-gun is considered Korea's Millet because he painted farmers and peasants. Millet is like Jean-Francois Millet of the 19th century in Paris, who painted farmers. Anyhow, Park Soo-gun was living in Seoul. Again, he had a very difficult time from 1945 through 60s until he died. By the time he died, he was painting for American soldiers who lived in Korea. So surprisingly, we have some collectors of Park Soo-gun's works in the U.S. You know, those soldiers who served the Korean War, they became very old now, right? Like a few of them still survive, but when they died, people say, oh, you know, it happens to have some Park Soo-gun work in my grandfather's attic, and, you know, is it worth or not worth? People ask, but he was painting for tourists or those visitors to the U.S. Anyhow, he is really a successor of Kim Hong-do's folk painting, you know, the scenes of everyday life. So if you see here, these are women at the laundry, right? Like we've seen this laundry scene. Now you can imagine this is from the 1950s. So women now have that black rubber shoes. This is a traditional shape, but it's made of rubber, black rubber, and you can buy those things. And then women have in their modernized hanbok, and you know, again, you know, two, you know, here, three over here. So they came to laundry, but it's also socializing moments. So Park Soo-gun shares aesthetics. So this is the Millet of the 19th century who painted farmers, peasants in the countryside. So people say that Park Soo-gun is Korea's Millet. He wanted to depict this type of peaceful, hardworking people's lives. So this is Park Soo-gun in his own studio, and Park Soo-gun with the daughter and the wife in his house. So the shoes that I was talking about, the rubber shoes that these ladies have on, these are exactly the kind of shoes that were sold. They are manufactured and they were sold to people.